Oh boy, we've got Nikon's first cinema camera. We've got a lot to talk about. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is a preview of the Nikon ZR. Z stands for Z mount and R stands for red. Yeah, they even put the red badge on the back of the camera. This is pretty much the first time after acquiring Red that they are putting the tech inside of their cameras. Now, this is a cinema first camera. It does do stills, think of it as a Z6 III, but they chopped off the EVF, they chopped off the grip. You might as well have said that it is a bris, right? The Moyle came along and was like, oh, hello, we're gonna snippy snip this thing. It is a small camera, very similar to the look of what a Nikon Z30 would look like, but it's not as small as that. But it is a pretty svelte camera. Nikon did a nice job of making it feel pretty good in the hands. I do prefer a larger grip, but you can still hand hold it with the grip that they have on it. Now keep in mind, this is a pre-production unit that we're using. It still has pre-production firmware, but we are filming with it right now, and I will tell you how we're filming with it later on when we get to inside of the camera. We also had an extremely limited amount of time with this camera. Normally we have more. This time around, with everything going on, we didn't have a ton of time to film with it, but we are filming with it right here. Now let's take a deeper look at the outside of the camera. As I already mentioned, it's smaller, but it's also lighter than the Z6 III, as well as thinner. It's about 1/3 of a pound lighter. Now this camera does not have 1/4-20s, which means you need to add a cage to it if you want to attach anything to it. So that is something that is additional. Keep that in mind. Sony with their FX line, they have 1/4-20s. Canon with their C50, that has 1/4-20s. You also don't have a handle for the top of this thing like you have with the FX line as well as with the C50. So that's something additional that you will have to pick up if you want it. Now, being that this is such a small camera, how is the fan? How is the heat dissipation? Well, there's actually a fanless design. That's one of the ways that they kept it smaller. It does not actually have a fan, and they say that they can get a long amount of recording time in the desert when they're shooting without overheating. Now, we're not able to test that out in the limited time that we have for it, but I guess we'll take Nikon's word for it right now, and we'll see if it overheats while we're using it, which it better not overheat while we're using it because it's like 73 degrees in here with no sun. Now, one of the coolest things of the ZR, or as I like to call it, the ZR, is that it has a 4-inch screen. Yeah, 4-inch. That is massive. I mean, in terms of screens, that's massive. When she says it's massive, when you take off your pants and you got 4 inches, that's it might be a problem. The 4-inch screen is a DCI P3 3 million dot vari-angle touchscreen with 1,000 nits of brightness. It is a very bright screen. Now, vari-angle, I'm still not the biggest fan of, and I get that a lot of cinema shooters don't mind it flipping out to the side and rotating, but can we get the best of both worlds? Like what Sony does? Canon doesn't get this right either, but Sony does, where they could let you flip it and hold it down. That's something that I would prefer. Not a deal breaker, because 4 inches of a screen is great. You may not need to add another external display. A 4-inch screen over what Sony and Canon offers is far superior, because those are 3-inch screens, but when you cut it down and the bezel, it's definitely less than 3 inches of actual viewable, usable area. Now, there is a new cinema user interface menu. Now, if you're used to using Nikon, you will see that the menus are very similar for stills as well as video, unlike when you're using something like Canon cinema cameras, where it's a super complicated, different, old school looking cinema menu, but the same photo menu. So if you're new to the cinema world, which this camera might be new for you in terms of shooting cinema, you will have a very familiar menu system to set up. Now, something has changed. They got rid of the I button, and in exchange for the I button, you now get the hamburger button. You know, 3 lines, that's called a hamburger. I did love the game Burger Time. I actually owned that one day. I bought it on eBay when I was 16. Besides the screen, you have a minimal button layout with this camera. You've got 3 buttons on top, really easy to get to, 3 custom buttons up there. You've got your record button with a zoom rocker. You also have a joystick on the back. When you switch from video to stills mode, you're basically getting getting a Z6 III stills camera. The only thing that's different is you do not have a built-in mechanical shutter, but you have all of the other features to shoot your stills. And no EVF. And finally, Nikon has decided to put in a digital hot shoe. They've needed a digital hot shoe for a while because everybody else has it. Why shouldn't they? So they also have something else that other people don't have. And by other people, I mean Sony and Canon. They have 32-bit float with that digital hot shoe if your microphone is compatible for that. But also the 3.5mm plug on the side, you can get 32-bit float audio as well. In terms of built-in audio, you have the Ozo audio with built-in multi-directional microphones. It's very similar to what we've seen to Sony's ZV line of cameras. For example, if you're in back of the camera and you're talking, it's like, oh, I want to use this microphone, or if you're in front, you use that, but it has microphones all around. Let me jump in here real quick and let you know that this video is brought to you by B&H and their Payboo credit card, where you pay the tax and B&H pays you back instantly. Now, there's two ways you can save. One, like I just said, you pay the tax and B&H pays you back instantly. Or two, you can get 12-month special financing of purchases of $599 or more. Now, I personally choose to save the tax, but both options are great options to have. Now, I save tax on everything I order from B&H, from cameras to lenses, like this new Nikon ZR, you could save really big, or hard drives to TVs, computers, and even film for Big Bertha. Whether you spend $10 or $10,000, those tax savings add up.
Low on cash, but still need to get your boo? Don't worry.
For more information and to apply for your card right now, head on over to the link on the screen or down below in the description. And remember to always charge responsibly. Now, let's get back to the video. In terms of memory card slots, you do have two of them, but they're different than the Z6 III. You've got your CF Express B card slot, of course, because this is a cinema camera. It's great to have that faster card with those large capacities. But then the second card slot is a micro SD card slot. That is kind of weird. That is basically just for your still images that you shoot. You do not have redundant video recording here. That is something that would be nice to have in a camera like this, to have the backup ability of doing redundant recording or to do proxies to one. You can't do proxies to the micro SD card slot. Another thing that's different from the Z6 III is the fact that you can't access the memory cards from the side of the camera. It's actually on the bottom of the camera, which caused an issue here for us because when we needed to switch out cards, you kind of have to take it off of the tripod. That is just weird that you can't just pop it off on the side door, but whatever. They needed to redesign it to do what they needed to do. It's a minor thing for you to be aware of. It's not a deal breaker. In terms of ports on the side, they're all the same as the Z6 III, except for the fact they downgraded to a micro HDMI port instead of a full HDMI port. Now, it's kind of odd that a cinema camera doesn't offer you a full HDMI port, but for this type of camera, or for this camera in particular, you can do all of the recording modes without having to do it externally. It can do them internally. Moving on to the inside of the camera, we have the same partially stacked 24.5 megapixel full frame sensor with a Speed 7 processor. You've got dual base ISOs of 800 and 6400, which is the same as you find in Canon's brand new C50. In terms of autofocus, you have the same 9 subject detection focus modes. We are using the autofocus right now to track me, so if it misses, which it shouldn't miss, you can blame the autofocus. You basically have the same video resolutions and frame rates that you find in the Z6 III, but now with the addition of Red RAW. That's right, it now offers 12-bit log, 3G10, Red Code RAW, or NRAW. You can do 6K up to 60p in both NRAW as well as Red RAW, or up to 30p in ProRes RAW. So as you can see, this is a stacked camera when it comes to shooting RAW. The big question is, I know I'm the I shoot RAW guy when it comes to stills, but I'm not exactly the RAW guy when it comes to shooting video. And if you're a cinema shooter, do you shoot RAW often, or do you just shoot in log Let me know down below. Now let's talk about the normal record mode. You've got your 5.4K up to 30p in 10-bit 422 ProRes HQ, or up to 60p in 10-bit 420 in H.265. Right now we're shooting in 5.4K 24p in ProRes HQ in N-Log. You also have your typical oversampled 4K modes up to 60p, which is the same that you found in the Z6 III. Now, of course, you have slow-mo shooting capabilities. You can shoot 4K 120, but with a DX crop. Now, keep in mind the competitors all can do full-frame 120, so that is a slight downgrade on this. You can shoot 1080 at 240 frames per second for a 10x slow-mo. They also implemented Red film-like creative LUTs inside of this camera, as well as support for up to 10 user-imported LUTs. Now, this is a big feature for cinema cameras because I bring that up because Canon's new C50 doesn't offer stabilization. You've got 7.5 stops of stabilization built into this camera. I think that all cinema cameras should have it. We've got autofocus now. We should start upgrading to the image stabilization built into these cinema bodies. I know what the old school people say, we don't want that. But you know what? You do want that. And you can just turn it off if you don't want to use it. But it's great that this camera offers it. Keep in mind, we're talking about mechanical stabilization. We're not talking about digital here. This is mechanical in-body image stabilization. Nikon also added shutter angle to this camera, as well as preset cinema modes. For example, one of those is a 24p 180-degree shutter angle with a red LUT burned in. You also have other cinematic features like timecode, waveforms, as well as a histogram. Let me jump in here real quick because I want to show you our custom Lightroom presets in action on this cute dog right here, starting with Blue's Clues, followed by Brooklyn. We've got C41, Copper Tone, which looks awesome, DeLorean, High C, Kaleidoscope, Mel Brooks, Saltwater Taffy, Thick, Tintype, and Wet Hot American Summer. And my all-time favorite from FroPack 1, with one click, we've got Skittles and it goes boom. But all new and exclusive to FroPack 4, we have 4 custom adaptive Lightroom presets called Face Enhance, Full Body Skin Enhance, Eye Only Enhance, and Background Blur. So look, if you want to speed up your raw workflow, give yourself a great starting point, or you're just tired of other people's presets sucking, as you can see, our presets do not suck. That's why we created 14 all-new custom Lightroom presets that you can check out right now at froknowsphoto.com/FroPack4. While you're over there, you can play with the sliders to see the befores and the afters, and if you decide to pick them up right now, they are currently on sale. Or if you want to get the Grand Slam bundle that includes FroPack 1, 2, 3, and 4, and of course my favorite Skittles, you can save even more. Now, let's get back to the video. Now let's go over a few of the cons. We've already mentioned that it doesn't have an EVF. It lacks a big grip. It has a grip, you can hold on to it. It's not as bad as the ZF, which is something that doesn't feel good. This at least has a couple of places for your fingers to go on, but it doesn't offer you open gate. I still don't think that's the end all and be all answer to everything is open gate, but the C50 does offer you open gate, but this camera does not have it. Now, for those of you who like to shoot with anamorphic lenses, you do not have anamorphic lens D-squeeze support. Again, not something that is a huge deal for the majority of people shooting video. I say some of that stuff doesn't matter because of the price. This camera comes in at $2199, which if this was last year, I'd venture to say this was meant to be a $2,000 camera without tariffs. Wow, $2,200 is a solid price for what Nikon and Red are offering you here. Now keep in mind that it's $2,700 for the Z6 III as is for the stills camera. You're looking at $3,900 for the brand new Canon C50, $4,100 for the FX3, and $2,700 for the FX2. There are a ton of solid features here, and honestly, across the board from all manufacturers, I don't care who they are, there are unbelievable cinema cameras or just regular stills cameras that you can shoot videos with that you can do a tremendous job with. But yes, some cameras do some things better than the others, but at the end of the day, it's what you do with it. And I say that because in 2019, when Steven shot the Bernie doc with me on the road, he was using a Nikon Z6. The autofocus, that gave us trouble. We just cut around that. But the final product, you wouldn't sit there and think or say, oh, that was shot with this, that, or anything else, because it's all about the final product. But at the end of the day, Nikon did a fantastic job with their first foray into a cinema camera. You have a lot of options now. You've got your Canon cinema, you have your FX line from Sony, and you have what Nikon is venturing into right now. We'll see what happens in the future. Will they come out with more? What do you guys think about this? Is this a win, lose, or draw? I think it's pretty much a win. I think if you're a Nikon shooter, this is a very nice option to have if you're getting into the cinema universe. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much for watching. Jared Polin, PhonosPhoto.com. See ya.